Hi, everyone. My name is Georgia Reish, and welcome to Here I Am, my journey of healing from fibromyalgia. This is not the full course starting yet. This is another one of my prefaces or an introduction. I think I'm going to call it a preface because when you think about a book, the preface is sort of setting the stage, and then an introduction kind of goes into more details about what you're going to experience. And I am doing that in this video as well. And one of the ways I want to set the stage before we launch into some instruction and deeper look at the experience of fibromyalgia is I want you to understand that I look at fibromyalgia a little differently than probably those who are mostly involved in the medical field or even those who are experiencing it. Because now, and as I went into the experience of fibromyalgia, it starts out as an illness that you have to fix. When in truth, the perspective that I'm encouraging you to take if you are someone who is experiencing chronic pain is that fibromyalgia is a journey that you're being asked to go on. Now, that kind of speaks to my whole belief that all illnesses are a journey, whether they be mental health challenges or physical challenges. It's a journey for us to get well. And of course, when you're sick, getting well is all you want to do, right? I mean, when you get a cold, you're like, oh my God, in 5 days, is it over with? You know what to expect. But the problem with fibromyalgia is there is no track record around what to expect, especially since we haven't even figured out how to physically, organically diagnose it. We now only see it as a set of symptoms related to certain systems in the body system, but there isn't a test yet that you can take that says, oh yeah, that's fibromyalgia. And that's one of the strange mysteries of this illness, is that even though it's been around for almost 25 to 30 years, we still don't know anything. Now, there's two reasons why we don't know a lot of information. And the first reason is because the medical system does not like to deal with illnesses where it can't figure stuff out. Meaning, doctors and our system, they like to have, pills and answers and things like that. This was what caused that. Once we get to the cause, we can figure out the solution. Well, here we are 20 some years into an illness and we can't figure out the cause. We can't even get to a diagnosis place fully. So fibromyalgia is different. It's not something that you get and get over with. It's something that you get and journey with. Now, I know that's not a pleasant idea, but again, I'm going to encourage you to remember that everything in life, every experience we have, good or bad, is an opportunity to see it through the journey lens. And for me, once I finally accepted the fact that fibromyalgia was something I was going to be living with, I just had to accept that it was going to be a journey into healing. Now, in my last video, I talked about one of the reasons or one of the benefits that I got from the fibromyalgia experience is sort of a return to myself. That's what happens when you lose everything that's familiar to you. You are forced to kind of go back to who you are, the basics, so to say. And this returning to myself was part of the benefits of being so severely impacted by that illness. But I have to also admit that returning to myself was a journey. And like any journey, you have to get ready for it. It takes time, and you never know exactly where you're going to land. So for me, the whole conversation about fibromyalgia is taking that journey lens. And the second aspect of preparing for a more deep dive instructional view about any chronic illness is to see it not just from the physical lens. Now, we live in the Western society where it's pretty, physical problem, physical solution, physical problem, physical solution. But anybody with, any intelligence can read the research. We now have research supporting the association between physical illness, mental processes, mental health, and physical illness. So there's always a relationship. And why is there always a relationship? Because we are not just one aspect. The physical self is only one aspect of who you are. But if you look at that whole self, there are different aspects of who you are that, for me, all told the story of fibromyalgia in a different way. So the aspects that I came to interpret my experience with this illness through, as well as to interpret it and to create solutions around it, I took a very whole person approach, because the body is just the symptomatic presence of what other aspects of you are telling you in so many ways. So for me, to have physical pain 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every minute of the day, yes, that was a physical experience, but it affected my mental life, it affected my emotional life, and it affected my spiritual life, affected my whole entire energetic being. So there is a relationship in all aspects of who we are. What causes what? I don't know, but I do know that they're related. So for me, that story of fibromyalgia, I really had to look at it from my various selves, we'll call them. I had the physical self, the mental self, which is closely tied to the emotional self, the spiritual self, the energetic self, and the financial self. Well, and there's also the relational self. So if you understand, living with any challenge, it's not like an ankle that you see it. If it's broken, it will have an end story of a cast and it'll be done. And you might have some bad memories around those few weeks you had to hop around. But because fibromyalgia is a journey story, all of those aspects of who you are part of the story, and in fact, interwoven into your story for healing. So for me, when I look back on my experience with fibromyalgia, and I feel as though, since I am on the other end, I can look back. When you're in pain, you're just in the now. And then when you're out of pain, you can look back. That's the cool thing about change. Looking back, I can see how fibromyalgia was a part of my life in all of those different ways. Some of the things that I had to learn mentally was to change my thinking. Emotionally was to get a handle on my emotions. Spiritually was to come up with a sense of meaning around my experience. I just had to understand why I would be going through much suffering. Energetically, since the body is all energy, since everything is energy, I had to look at my energetic field and examine what was in discord within me. And financially, last and about financially, fibromyalgia changed my whole life and my lens on the understanding of finances in my life. And relationally, well, all I can say about how fibromyalgia affected my relationships was it was a devastating impact. Number one, because people didn't understand and they made assumptions. And number two, it's hard to want to be with people when you feel bad all the time. So, living with, grappling with, journeying with fibromyalgia touches all aspects of your life. And I just wanted to say that as a preface to acknowledge, not that everybody isn't suffering in so many ways, but we have to acknowledge that when there is something wrong with us physically, it can affect many different parts of our lives. And given the longevity of this illness, we have to see that every aspect of our lives will be touched by the journey of fibromyalgia. Now, I can equally say that even though there was a lot of suffering in all of my different reflections of self, my comeback story was equally represented around all of the various expressions of who I am. And when I intentionally set out to heal, I healed every one of those aspects of who I am because I know that they all play a part in the experience of pain and how to manage it better. So for me, recovering from fibromyalgia wasn't just getting the right pill. It wasn't just getting on disability or anything of that nature, or even making excuses for what was I experiencing. For me, the journey of fibromyalgia was to look at all of me and to say, what isn't working? Because all of me is part of the healing story. And I'm going to encourage you, if you are somebody dealing with chronic illness, to understand that once you start that process of looking at yourself and your total value, not just, whether you can go out and make money and do things and physically move around, when you start to understand and appreciate yourself from the total value lens, you understand that you are so much more than what your body is putting you through. And in that exploration of all the different parts of who you are, there's reason to hold on and keep on trying. Keep on trying to get better. So that is one of my expressions that I'd like to share today, and I look forward to sharing more in the future, and see you soon. Bye-bye.